Welcome to Vermontitude, a collaborative effort between Great Eastern Radio, the Brattleboro Reformer, and BCTV to bring you the stories behind the stories on the topics you want to learn more about. Because there's always more, so there'll always be Vermontitude. Hosted by me, Peter Fish Case. Welcome to Vermontitude. New episodes drop every Tuesday and can be found by going to vermontitude.com, reformer.com, brattleboro.tv, and locally on Comcast Channel 1078. We come to you from our studios at the Innovation Box on Flat Street. I'm Peter Fish Case, and each week I cover the topics that are a concern to Windham County and the towns that reside within its borders. Joining Vermontitude today, it's the chair of the Vermont Commission on Native American Affairs and the co-director of the Atui Project, Rich Holshoe. Welcome, sir. Did I get it right?
You got it absolutely right.
All right.
And those are tricky.
They can be.
Thank you, Peter.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about some of the work that you do on the VCNAA, which is the Vermont Commission of Native American Affairs.
For sure. The VCNAA, the Vermont Commission on Native American Affairs, a lot easier to say the initials, is a state-convened advisory council board created under Act 107 of 2010.
Okay.
And it comes hand in hand with the recognition process that the state of Vermont created to recognize the Benaki people or other people within the state after centuries of denial.
Okay.
I am current chair. That's elected by the commission. I'm in my second year. This is my third term. Mm-hmm. I served 2 terms previously and stepped down by requirement, and now back on. We are a 9-member commission appointed by the governor and with recommendations. And we will be meeting on Wednesday. We meet monthly throughout the year for 9 months of the year.
Okay. All right. So important work is done there. And tell us a little bit, and then I want to kind of get into the bones of why I invited you on the show, but about the Atui project.
Yes,
and
Atui.
Atui. All right. Sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Accent on the first syllable. In English, we tend to stress the second to the last syllable when we approach an unfamiliar word. But this is Atui, and that's from the Benaki language. It means together in space and time. And it describes basically how we see our mission, to engage discussion with communities, everyone who's here now, about things that they may not be aware. We might all be better off if we knew more and understood better, and Atui hopes to address that by providing education and raising awareness, and also providing capacity for the Native communities, which are basically unresourced because they've been ignored for so long.
Sure. Which I guess is a natural segue to the National American Indian Heritage Month. And we had the opportunity to discuss a little bit before that about words. And I thought that it was, I know how I feel about it. I feel, as a person sitting where I am sitting, I feel like it was just, I don't know, it just gives me a weird feeling that we designate a month for this sort of thing. I'm trying to be really gentle about how I word this, but it just feels like it was something that was placed on the calendar out of guilt. I don't know if that's an accurate statement or not.
I think it can be.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we do. We try to include everyone by acknowledging them in a way. It may be an imperfect or incomplete manner, and then give them their piece of the pie, and then move on to the next one.
Okay.
It's kind of a process of objectification. And a way of accommodating things. Yeah. And that's kind of how we do things. We do that with the English language. We do that with our governmental systems.
Right. But let's break this down. National American Indian Heritage Month.
Yeah.
And how does somebody, how does this make you feel?
I think it's an opportunity for learning.
I like that.
That's how I look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an opening for a conversation, and Not everyone is going to agree, but I think we should be able to talk about it.
I do too.
Yeah, words matter. The words that are in the title of this designated month are chosen for reasons. We may not think about that. It's sort of like the water we swim in.
Yep.
But words do have power.
Yep.
Words are a vibration, a sound, and in many traditional ways of thinking, sound is how the universe was created. Whether it was spoken into existence or sung into existence.
Okay.
There's some parallels that can be drawn there. So words have power, although we may not think about it. They matter. And so let's look at National American Indian Heritage Month.
Yeah.
Okay. First word, national. This is building on a sense of using the nation state as an entity for us to all gather around in commonality. Mm-hmm. It is one way of doing things, a nation state. It's relatively recent, nation states.
Yeah.
And nation states are the ones that conduct wars.
Yeah.
So what are we saying when we say national? That's just something to stop and think about.
Okay.
American.
Yeah.
That is our idea of a nation state to rally around.
Right.
American Indians. Many people would say that there are no American Indians.
Yeah.
Why? What do those words mean?
Yeah.
An Indian is the legal term and a more historically accepted word, not so much nowadays, but it is the legal term. It's legal jargon in the law for indigenous people of this continent, right?
Right.
American Indian, America does not own these people.
Right.
That's an adjective.
And this is sort of the labeling I feel like our government does when they're trying to identify things and drop them into a convenient little box.
Into a box, exactly. Yeah. This is how we're going to accommodate that.
Right.
The so-called Indian problem, which is how it was actually phrased in the media.
Really?
Not so long ago.
Oh, wow.
The Indian problem. So these people preceded. And in their mind, their way of being, they are not under that designation.
Right.
They can be if they choose to. They choose to internalize it that way. But American Indians actually do not exist. The government created them.
Yes.
All right. It's a government designation. And then we go on to heritage, the next word in that phrase. Heritage places people in the past.
Oh, wow. I don't know that I ever thought about that word like that before, so thank you for that.
So the past does exist.
Yep.
But it exists now.
Right.
We are living in what the past has created. So we should look at that. We should definitely look at that. In the Abenaki language, we would say mikwalda, remember. We should always look back because that's where we came from, and that's how we're going to know where we might be headed. So heritage is important, but don't leave it there.
Okay.
Okay. And then we get into the last word, month.
Yeah.
Right? Month?
Yeah.
Like what's there to talk about a month? A month is a month.
Right.
A month is a European construct.
Okay.
Overlaid on lunar cycles.
Right.
Which is a traditional way to look at things. And we put it into that little box, and we have a month where we stop for a minute and we look at National American Indian heritage.
Right.
And then we move on to something else. It's a way of life. It's here all the time. We live in what I call Wantastagok nowadays. Nowadays we call it Brattleboro, named after a colonial person who never lived here.
Interesting.
Has his name affixed to this place because in his day he was considered the wealthiest person in the Northeast, and this was part of his land holdings.
Yeah.
But Wantastagok has been the name of this place for a long, long, long time. Human presence going back 12,000 years here. And we have that name continuing on the landscape right across the river.
Yeah.
At Wantastikit.
Yeah.
Same word. Spelled and pronounced a little differently. But those stories, that presence of Native people, it's still here.
Right.
But people are not aware of it. And that's part of the work of the Atui Project.
So I find it all extremely fascinating. I don't want to say a steep learning curve for me, but like more, I want to know more about it. I want to learn more, because the heritage piece of it is important, because I think it frames how we look at things today. And if we have a better understanding of our heritage, I think we have a better framing of what we're walking through now. Would you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. None of this happened by accident. There's always intentionality. We may have forgotten.
Right.
But the way Brattleboro presents itself now is no accident.
Right. And
the fact that very few people understand how that came to be needs to be examined so that we can walk into the future. The future's coming. I mean, it's right over the horizon.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's right there.
Right in front of us.
Yeah.
Can't get away from it. If there are people like myself who are interested in learning more about how to pronounce Abenaki correctly, right, and Atui correctly, where could they go?
Well, this is my minute to pitch, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Go to the website for the nonprofit organization called Atui, or
right.
Atui Project, and that is at atui.org.
Okay, and that's spelled ATOWI.
Exactly.
Okay.
Very small word. It means a large concept. It means together in space and time.
All right.
Yep, describing our mission. And let me just address the
please
the name of the name that's used today for the people of this place, the indigenous people of this place. They are if you're in Vermont, they're the Abenaki.
Right.
That's the word you'll hear most often, the pronunciation.
Right.
You might also hear Abenaki,
Yep.
which is a little more of a generic English way of saying it. You may hear the French inflection, which is what I tend to use. It's closer to the original word, and that is Abenaki.
Abenaki.
Abenaki. You
Okay.
just see the accent and the vowel pronunciation shifting a little. And if you're really, really, really from Vermont or New Hampshire, you might say Abernaki.
Just throw in that R.
Right? That's what we do.
Yeah.
We throw an R in, and then we lift them out and then sprinkle them in somewhere else. But it's all the same, and it comes from the original word, Wombanaki.
Okay.
Wombanaki, which is Womban, white, dawn, light, and Aki, which is land. We are in the dawn land. We are in the easternmost part of the continent.
Wow.
And the
That's
people,
deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really deep.
Hey, words matter.
And they do, man.
They matter.
Do.
And you'll see that Wombanaki or Abenaki or Wabanaki, all the same word, is the same as the place.
Okay.
The name of the people is the same as the place, and that is indigeneity. The land is the people, and the people are the land. And we don't own the land. The land owns us.
Yeah.
Whew. Super cool.
I feel like I've gone to church.
Dude, I'm a preacher's kid.
Yeah. It's really fascinating. Now, will you yourself be doing anything that people can go to and learn more about this throughout this month that you've been given?
I have a lot going on.
Yeah.
My short answer is I don't have any particular programming in place right now.
Okay.
I'm hoping to work toward that in coming years. I do this work every day.
Yep.
It's a way of life. Values and culture are a way of life. I hope that I can share this with people in ways that are more accessible. The Tribal Cultural Center down at 350 Putney Road is coming together, and that will be a place where the public can come and learn more.
Oh, fantastic. Good.
For now, go to atui.org. Google it. Google Vermont, Abenaki. You can learn about culture. You can learn about politics, which are often nasty.
Yep.
I'm happy to talk about that with anyone. I try to make myself available. I do a lot of presentations to schools, civic organizations, colleges, nonprofits, all of those things. So there's a lot of work to be done. It's all good work to be engaged. And I'm glad to be able to hear and share a little bit.
Great. Listen, I can't thank you enough for coming on the program today and teaching us a new way to look at these words. I think it's an important conversation, and I appreciate that you're out there doing it. So thanks for being on Vermontitude.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter. Let's do it.